Hey folks, Bob here. Welcome back to the channel. Well, as you saw in the previous video on this car, we put a mechanical oil pressure gauge on it right here. It's a Slant 6. And the factory gauge, it wasn't getting anything. Oops. The factory gauge, I'll get that later. The factory gauge, it's not a gauge, it's a light. It wasn't coming on at all, even with the switch on. So we determined that that's probably bad. Well, we're going to determine it anyway. We did that, and we got 44 pounds of oil pressure cold off camera. I went on and let it run a little bit more, kicked the fast idle down, and it went down to about 20, 22. So I think we're okay on oil pressure. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do a compression test. And so I'm going to shimmy up under the car. I'm going to reinstall the factory oil pressure switch so I can get this gauge because I need it for another car. And then we're going to take the fuel line off, the inlet line on the fuel pump, and we're going to plug it so we don't want any fuel into the cylinders so we can get a real true compression test. So that's what we're getting ready to do. Okay guys, so I got the gauge back on it. You see it right there, see the little prong sticking out? Not the gauge, the sending unit back on it for the light. We're not going to bother plugging it up right now. I'm going to show you how to test that later. Not worried about that today. There's my fuel pump right here. This thing right here. I got my screwdriver here. This is the fuel pump. This is a return hose, and it's disconnected. It stops right here. I'm not sure what in the world is going on there. This is the inlet side. It's the suction side, and that's the side I'm going to disconnect. But I noticed something when I was up on there. See this tube right here? This is the fuel filter right here. I need to replace it too. And it's an in, and I think there's another line on the bottom. Should be 3 connections. This is a vinyl tubing right here. I'm running the screwdriver all along it, and it goes all the way back to right in here. Where's it go? I don't have the light shining, but yeah, here it is. If you guys can see that, where the screwdriver's pointing. That's the vinyl tubing I'm touching with the screwdriver. Right here is the metal line. So I need to replace that with a rubber hose. And that's also a return to the vapor return to the tank from the fuel filter. This one here, I would think, because I got a vapor return here going to the charcoal canister. So I'm probably going to put another fuel pump on it. But what I want to do right now, I'm going to spray this down with some brake cleaner first, get as much of the gunk out as possible. Then I'm going to pop it with some liquid wrench right here on the nut right here. And then I'm going to take that off and then plug it, and that'll eliminate fuel being pumped into the cylinders. So let me get started on that. Okay, that's a lot cleaner. And I hit it with some and I'm into some liquid wrench, so hopefully that line will come loose pretty easy. Let's find out. Okay. All right, guys, look here. So I put a little plastic cap, like a vacuum line cap right here. You see the screwdriver? Can y'all see that? Get your reset right here. That's covering the fuel line, so no dirt will get in it. Probably need to put one on the inlet side too, the fuel pump side. But I noticed something, the vacuum line, I think I've broken it, I have. The darn vacuum line went to right here from the distributor down there. See the distributor down there? That's the distributor, see the cap? And it was tied in up here. I don't know, guys. That's not where it's supposed to be. That which traced it back all the way to right there to that T for the brake booster. So it should go over to the valve cover somewhere. I'm almost positive, not the valve cover, the air cleaner area, carburetor area. So something else we got to fix, but yeah, let me get another vacuum cover for that other piece. Okay, so I got the fuel line taken care of. It's covered, and I got my spark plug socket. Got it all tested. I tried this, but they're so tight that I don't want to take a chance with that. I may use that to put them back in. But I'm going to have to use the old-fashioned way to get them out. And I'll probably, this right here, heater hose. You see this kinking right here? The heater hose has been disconnected right there. and it looks rough. So this car is not going to have a heater. I need to just take it loose here and just run I wonder if I can just plug it right here with a cap, or do I need to, I can put a fitting in it, a brass fitting, metal fitting, or can I just buy a piece of tubing, a hose made that way, or should I just run this out where I can loop it a little bit better? Because this is bull crap right here. This ain't gonna fly. So I ain't worried about the heater right now. This is a summertime car. I doubt I'll be doing a whole lot in the wintertime. If I ever do, I'll put a heater in it then. But your thoughts on that, guys? Hey folks, Bob here. Okay, so we're going to continue on with this compression test. Now what I've done, I still have the coil wire hooked up, but I do have the fuel line disconnected, the inlet line disconnected. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to fire the engine up and let it burn off the fuel in the fuel line, and I guess there's probably some in the bowl of the carburetor. And then we're going to pull the spark plugs out, pull all the plugs out. And I've got the wires marked. That's not the firing order. It's just a simple way to keep me from getting them confused. I just got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll just lay them up on top of the valve cover. Look at that dirt dauber nest right there. Ain't that something? So that's all that is. And we'll block the, of course, we'll disconnect the fuel line after we burn all the fuel off. It will wire the throttle wide open, remove the air cleaner, and that way it'll be able to take in as much air as it needs, and we'll see what kind of compression we got. So let's do that. That battery is so weak. Let me let it charge up a little bit. Well, I couldn't get it to start, so I took the air cleaner off, and I don't see, it's not squirting any fuel from the accelerator pump, which is right here. Yeah, it is too. Get a little bit of a mist in there. See if I can get you on that. See that? The bowl's basically dry. It's a little fuel that hit the floor of the car, the shop, surprisingly. So I'm guessing it drained back. So I guess we're good to go. We'll take all this mess, get it out of the way, and go to checking the compression. Well, folks, I found out why it won't start. See the plastic hose going to the fuel filter there? Get my handy screwdriver out. Phillips. This is the plastic hose right here. And as you can see, it goes to the fuel filter right here. That's the fuel inlet line. I thought it was this big hard line that goes to the top of the pump. It's a little hard to see in here. I thought it was this right here. Turns out it's that plastic. You can see it's full of fuel. So it fills the fuel filter up before it goes to the pump. And it's a three-way deal. Then it goes to the bottom of the filter, from the pump to the bottom of the filter, then up to the carburetor. So that's crazy they put that on there. So let me take that off. And that plastic line is hard. I tried to get it off. It's on there really good. So we'll probably damage that getting it off. But all this stuff needs to be redone. All this fuel line, it needs to, well, I don't know if it needs to be redone, but it certainly needs, that part of it needs. So let me get that off. Okay, so I got the vinyl tubing off. Wasn't too big of a deal. So shouldn't have any fuel going to the, engine now at all. So got a big old vacuum leak right here, I just noticed. Yeah, it's a lot of things on this car that were not done right. But it's, what, 43 years old. Been a lot of knuckleheads have had their hands on it, and I'm the latest one. So let's continue on. Okay, so I pulled the little carburetor clip out of the linkage for the accelerator, which is right here. And that way I won't accidentally forget that I've got the carburetor wired wide open. I took the return springs loose, and I got it wired up. It's wide open throttle. I got it wired up right here. And I found another vacuum line. This one shouldn't pull it on the engine though, I wouldn't think. It might, but I don't think so. I don't know where it goes on the carburetor, but we'll worry about that later. All righty, let me pop the coil wire loose again and pull some plugs out. All right, guys, I'm trying to pull this first plug here. Need some anti-seize on this puppy when I put it back in. She was a little tight. Probably been in there since '88. Who knows how long it's been in there. How much you want to say it's a Champion spark plug? Write in the comments. It's a 1980 Chrysler Cordoba, 225 slant 6, and it was last inspected in '95. So I'm gonna say it's a Champion. I haven't looked, even though I did pull one of it, I didn't even think to look see what it was. I say Champion. Well, how many say AC Delco, Autolite, Motorcraft? Oops, I think I dropped it on the darn ground. I did. I can't believe it. I see it though. It didn't break. You don't matter if it breaks or not. I'm gonna put no one in it. Ah, nice. What kind of plug we got here? The name is wore completely off of it. No, it hasn't. Yeah, it's a Champion. See if it's got a part number. RV, it looks like. Yeah, RV17YG. If you guys can see that. Right there, Champion. And then RV17YG. Plug actually looks okay, guys. Don't look great, but hell, it's a 44-year-old engine that's been mistreated. That's not too bad. Definitely gonna put some anti-seize on that puppy though. All right, I'm gonna hook this right back into the wire here. I think I am. Maybe not. Look at that. The wire's too big. Let me go get some pliers and close down on that. But yeah, you get the idea. I'm gonna run through the rest of these and we'll get back to you when we get them all off. Folks, I know y'all are laughing. I was grabbing the coil wire. I tell you, I got it right. It goes in there. I thought the boot came off awful tight, so I'm sitting there puzzled by that, but yeah, we're good. So there's the back one. I call it number 6. It's not the firing order. Just did that to make things simple for me. So let me go ahead and get the rest of them out, guys. Well, that one doesn't want to come out. It started tightening up on me, so I shot it with some liquid wrench, and I'm gonna let it soak a little bit, and I may actually tighten it back up, hit it with some liquid wrench again, just kind of slowly work it out. Well, I don't want to break it off in the head. That's why you use anti-seize on these threads, guys. It's no telling how long those plugs have been in there. Probably 20 years. And I had this problem on that minivan. The plugs had been in it for about 20 years, and it it was difficult getting them out. But it had aluminum heads, so that really scared me. All right, let me I want to move on to the next one. Let this penetrate a little bit, soak up a little bit. All right, guys, check that one out. Can't even, I mean, she has gotten hot and it's like it's had some blow by through the plug. It's definitely, it's burning pretty good though. A little wet, but that could have been gas. It's dried off now. I'm thinking that's probably what that was. That's a little bit of a booger to get to that one. The alternator kind of in the way there. All right, let me work on this one I couldn't get out. Wish me luck. Okay, folks, that worked. I sprayed the liquid wrench on it. I got it out. It's a lot of oil on the threads. I don't know why it was seized up, but it was. A little bit nerve-wracking there for a minute. I don't think I hurt the threads. I'd loosen it, spray it, tighten it, spray it. Did that 3 times, and every time I would loosen it, it'd go another round, another revolution on the ratchet, full 360. And then when I went to tighten it back to kind of work it back the other way, it didn't go all the way to the full turn. That's what made me nervous. Oh, I thought maybe the threads are damaged, but it came on out. It started getting a little easier each turn. And after about third or fourth revolution, it almost could pull out with your fingers. So going back in, it'll definitely have some anti-seize on it. And we'll find out when we put the compression tester on it if I've damaged the threads. Because if it don't want to go in, then the threads are damaged. There's a tool to chase the threads. So I think we're okay. All right, let's get on that. Dodged a bullet there, folks. Okay, folks, so this is the compression tester. Trying to find a name on it, don't see one. I'm thinking this is a Craftsman, because back in the day, we didn't have the part stores and the tool stores like we do now. And Craftsman had a catalog, and you could just order out the catalog and they'd mail it to you. So pretty sure I got a lot of Craftsman tools, and then they lasted. It's amazing how they're still great. But the way this works, you screw it in. It's two different sizes. You take it off here if you need a bigger one, and then it reduces down to this one, which is the size I believe I need. And you spin the motor over with the starter. I'm going to use the ignition key 5 times. I do 7 just to be sure. You go, and then you it'll build up the pressure. I'm showing the gauge, and then once you're done, you just hit that button there to release it. Okay, and you record what that reading is. And I got to get the book out and see what the specs are, but you typically want them to be within about 20 pounds. So if you got one that's at 150 and one that's at 60, the one that's at 60 is low on compression, it's weak. You can spray oil down the cylinders. Sometimes that'll build it back up. And this engine runs and runs fine, so I'm not anticipating any issues. If you had one that didn't run, once you get it running, sometimes the rings will stick to the piston, or a valve may be a little stuck. Once you get it running, spray some oil down through it. It'll a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times it'll kind of fix itself. But I don't anticipate any problems. Okay, all you do is thread the hose into the spark plug hole. You get it tight. I've got it tight. You don't have any compression leaking around there. And this has got a quick disconnect on it, right here. Just like an air hose. And you put an air in your car or whatever. And hook it up and start it, spin it over. All right, guys, I got you set up on the tripod. Here's the compression gauge. You'll see this needle move around. And I'm gonna go operate the ignition switch because I left my remote starter at the other shop. So here we go. Alright, what we end up with, still smelling fuel. Oh, it's leaking out of there. So it looks like we got, let me see here, what do we have here? That's 105, yeah, it looks like we got just about 105. And it appears to be dropping. Yeah. Yeah, look at it dropping. It's not holding pressure. So we got 105, it bumped up to 105. And like I was telling you, all you do is hit this little button right here. So let's test it again, okay? Oh wow, we got more that time. You know what? We got almost 100 and we got 115 that time. It is definitely dropping. I'm gonna charge this battery up a little bit. That shouldn't have anything to do with it. All right, I did it again off camera. It went up to 125 that time, but it's not holding pressure. But we are pouring out fuel. I don't understand that. We're pouring fuel out. Pump ain't hooked up. I'm gonna go with 125. That's pretty good. We'll check another one. Sorry about my finger in the camera. We'll check another one. Well, it's trickled down to about 70 pounds. It's only been a couple minutes. So I was getting fuel. Still coming out pretty good. I got looking a little closer, and this is the inlet fuel line. So it's 3 times now, or twice I've been wrong. So man, I got to clean this mess up. It is a nightmare in here. Hard to believe that's factory. But yeah, it goes, what I thought was disconnected right here actually goes up in this little hole up in here. And there's a little line hooked to it. So let me disconnect it right here. A little clamp right there. That'll be all the lines will be off of the fuel pump. We should be running out of lines now. All right, guys, that one went to a little over 150. I'm gonna call it 150 just to be safe. I charged the battery up a little better, so it spun over really well. So we're gonna mark this one. I got the other one at 125. We may recheck it. I'm gonna do number 5 at 150. Because technically that's out of spec. Shouldn't be that much difference in them, but I'm working with an old engine. Yeah, 125 is good enough for it to run. Let me get the book out and see what the actual specs are. Okay, it's slowly dropping. That could be just leaking around the, there's no way to tighten it because I can't get in there with a wrench to tighten it any tighter. Went on my book and nothing in my book about what the cranking pressure should be, which is a little bit surprising. So I went on the internet and I found some replies there from some guys questioning on forums. And 140 seems to be the general consensus. One guy mentioned that was about what the factory service manual was. I don't know if he's right or not, but 140 seemed to be the general consensus. Anything under 120, let's say your motor's giving up on you. If it's under 100, they say it's already given up. I don't know if I agree with all that, but anyway, I've always heard 120 and above, as long as it's consistent and your motor will run. It may not run at its optimal, but that's just been, working on these old. I don't expect this 44-year-old damn car that's been neglected to be all that great. So I'm okay with 120 and 150, and I'm going to retest that other sooner. One thing I did read, it said you need to set the valve lash and the engine needs to be hot. Well, the engine's not hot, and I haven't set the valve lash. So we're doing a compression ratio as is. Just kind of get a baseline. We'll come back later, maybe do it after we've set the valve lash. If the engine turns out to be good, I think it's going to be. And then we'll look at maybe when it's warmed up or something, and the valves are adjusted a little tighter. All right, guys, let's go test another one. It's dropping a little bit already, but 145. Not bad. So we had a 150 and a 145 and then a 125. Let's continue on. All right, guys, this is the 4th cylinder, number 4. Dropping pretty quickly already. 120. So we got 2 at 120. Let me write that down. 120. All right, let's go on to another one. Okay, folks, got you set up again. This is the next to last one. Let's see what we got. And she's dropping fast. You guys tell me, was it higher than 115? I got over as quick as I could. It is dropping like a rock. I'm gonna put down 115. And that's the first one that's below my threshold of 120. Now this engine has run. and it seems to be running better the more I run it. A tune-up would really help this thing out, and plug some of these damn vacuum ports. Probably help it too, but it's possible to get out and run it, get some heat in it. If it is a ring sticking somewhere or a valve's a little tight, it could work itself free and help with that compression somewhat. Could not, but sometimes when you just get out and run them, they do tend to get a little better when they've sat for a long time, these old engines. I'm not saying it's a rebuild in my imaginations, it's not. I'm just saying it'll run a little better. It seems to run okay now. Let's put everything over to the very last cylinder and check it. All right, I got you set up on the last one, and I want to clarify something. When I said adjust the valves, these Slant 6s had mechanical lifters, solid lifters in them up until the early 80s, somewhere along in there. I'm not sure exactly when. So this engine, if it hasn't been changed, should have adjustable lifters. So that's why you got to make sure all that's set correctly. And as you can see, I haven't done that yet. So we're just getting the baseline here. Now, if the engine's been changed, it's got a newer engine in it, it'll have hydraulic lifters. So that's just to clarify that. So let's check this one.
Almost got it up. I just got to unscrew the hood latch.
Okay, no problem. All right, that one's about 140. Yeah, about 140. I think I'm going to retest that last one. That first one we did, the very back one at the back of the engine, just because the battery was still weak when we did that one. So we're going to put that one down at 140. All right, so let's retest this cylinder here. This was the very first one that we did, and it came in at 125. The battery was a little weak. So let's try it again. Yeah. It looks like we got the same result, guys. So, okay, I'm satisfied. That one's going to be about 125. All righty. Let me turn you around here. Okay, so I'm gonna go with that 140 for the very first cylinder. Like I said, that's not the firing order, I don't guess. And then 115. This was so we got a couple of, we don't have any dead cylinders, but we got a couple that are senior citizens. So especially that one, 115, and then the back one at 125. So there's a little life left in them, but they're definitely not what they used to be. I think the 140 to 145, 150, those are good cylinders. I'm pleased with that. So we got 3, 115 number the second one, 120 the third one, 125 the sixth one. I think this engine will be fine with that. It'll live for now until we get time to rebuild it. Right now, I just want to get it going. All right, folks, that concludes this test. And let's see if I can get this thing out. I want to show you something. Just oh, by the way, that second cylinder here that had so much trouble with the spark plug, this tester screwed in no problem, so there's no damage to the threads. This hose is in there. Turn you off for just a second. Now, this tool is made, we can put a wrench on it right here and get it a lot tighter, but I can't get up in there because these Slant 6s are made in such a way the spark plug hole is way up in there. You can't get in there, buddy, with a wrench. So probably lost a little compression there, which is another thing that makes me think we're probably okay. All right, folks, that's going to conclude this test. I am satisfied that this engine is savable. And next thing we're going to do, we're going to back it out of the shop. Not today, but one day, back it out of the shop, get it running, and get it some heat in it. And we're going to spray it down and degrease the absolute crap out of it as much as we can. And power wash it. And I know I got a transmission leak at the pan gasket, and I got one at the front seal on the transmission. I think the valve cover gasket's leaking. on the engine. And as old as this thing is, it needs to be taken out and resealed. And you want to get into while it's out, putting bearings in it and all that, I don't know. Didn't want to get into all that. I really didn't, but it needs to have the front seal put in it, timing cover, maybe a timing chain put on it. And I can show you how to test that. Maybe I will, how to test a weak timing chain. But anyway, we got one that's savable, and I believe we're gonna have to dig a little bit. We're definitely gonna take transmission out and have it worked on. All right, folks, hope you got something out of that. Please hit that thumbs up on this button on the YouTube channel. And go down and look through some of the other videos we've got. We've got a lot of cool stuff. Went out to the racetrack the other night. I got some video. I may post some of that. A lot of cool stuff. So you'll find something you like. Very automotive related content. All right, Bob out.